Self-centered. No other way to actually explain it other than that. Self-centered. Yep. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for Real Housewives of Atlanta, the season 13, episode 9. And as I was saying, self-centered. This is what we ran into. But this is we've known this. I mean, this has been an ongoing argument for how many seasons? Kenya Moore is very self-centered. Um, that's Kenya. That's Kenya. Now, where the problem comes in at, you kind of have this whole thing where you say, how you start is how you finish. And when a person is kind of that way and they've been that way for so long, is it wrong to get to a point where it no longer is acceptable? For me, I don't have to continue on with bad behavior if I don't want to, but you have to know that when you have these situations that it could potentially end a friendship or multiple friendships. So that's kind of what I saw happening. And then we have new people coming in. Drew is having a hard time. She's having a hard time with not just Kenya, but just the group dynamic as a whole. This whole kumbaya that they do. See, I would never make it in the group either. I couldn't make it in the group. So I know exactly what Drew's talking about. You're all upset and y'all fighting and arguing. The next minute y'all hugging. I don't forgive well. I'm damn near 50 years old. It's always been an issue of mine. I don't forgive well. It is what it is. I don't know if it's ever going to go away. But I don't forgive well because my experience has been all this forgiveness like this real fast and frivolous. The people who you're forgiving most times end up doing the same thing or something worse. So I'm real rough when it comes to forgiveness. But, I'm just being honest. It just is what it is. Anyway, we start off, there's the whole thing with Kenya and Marlo, and it looked as though Marlo was walking away, but she wasn't actually walking away. They were saying, Marlo, don't walk away, don't go. She said, I'm not walking nowhere. I'm not no punk. I'm just going to get some ice. I don't have no problem with arguing with this bitch. So she did end up saying, like Kenya, like, I'm really tired of like this back and forth that we do. We've been doing it for years. Like, it needs to stop. And Tanya was like, I'm tired for the both of you. And the other girls were kind of like agreeing. And I said, okay. All right, now how long is this going to last? I kept watching Candy. Candy, child, I've been watching Candy for so long on the show that a lot of times it feels like I know Candy. And I think a lot of y'all got that going too. We know our Candy. And when Candy has had enough. And I could see Candy. I could see it all in her face. She has had it. She has had it. She's had it. And it's Kenya's behavior. Yes, I'm like the little co-host to this thing. But, girl, you doing the absolute most. And Candy was about at her wit's end with Kenya. And you could see it all over her face. Anyway, so they figured everything out. They got it all together, calmed it all down. Kenya ends up saying, okay, there's a game. We were all supposed to play a game. I said, well, what's the game? Let's go. She says, we're going to all run up to our room, put on our pajamas, and then go to bed. That's the game. So they're just kind of looking at her like, is she joking? She was serious as a heart attack. Serious as a heart attack. So then they were like, child, it's okay. Portia's like, we're going to play a game. I played this game when we was in jail. I said, okay, girl. I don't know that I want to play no game that you was playing in jail, but okay, Miss Portia, girl. Whatever. So this is where they went with this. I said, okay. All right. Cool, no problem. Kenya was serious. It was 10:30. This is day 2 of their trip. She going on off the bed. Brooklyn's there. She's going into this whole thing. Candy went upstairs and said to her, like, girl, what are you doing? She's like, girl, I got my baby here and I'm going to bed. You know, this, that, thing, and the other. And Candy was like, girl, this is, no, what are you, wait a minute. And she's like, okay, that was like the final straw for Candy. Candy came downstairs. They started talking about it. All the girls were pretty pissed with it. It was just too much. It was like the straw broke the camel's back. Um, Candy ended up crying, you know, and it was just like this whole thing of like, girl, you really are doing too much with this whole thing. So, um, and then Cynthia, they got it all together and they all ended up going to bed. They just was like, I don't even want to play the game. Like, this is all a bust. Just this is just stupid. We're all really sick of Kenya and all this, the jet and the, you know, the sandwich when we didn't have lunch and all, just all of this self-centered bullshit that she's done. It has really just got to be too much. 2 days of this, and we're sick of it. We're just gonna go to bed, call it a night. Um, One other thing I thought was ridiculous. Did they really, like, when I say Marlo really took over the living room, moved the couches and stuff around, and made the living room her where she was sleeping? Marlo, if you don't go sit down and you getting dressed in the room, you could go sleep in the room too, Marlo. Just stop it. I mean, it's a bad room, yes. But girl, come on. From what I know of you, Marlo, girl, you didn't grow up with no silver spoon in your mouth, a fork, or a knife. So, like, come on. Just you being extra, but whatever. The next day, things is going on. Here, Drew got more issues. She's having issues with everything as it's going. I can see it built in her too. She called home her husband. They had the whole house packed up and moving while she gone. And she said they took and moved her closing date up or whatever. I don't know if I believe that. And I don't know if she believed it. It sounded to me like one of his little control moves. But whatever, her house has been packed up and they're getting ready to move. By the time she gets home, I think they'll have already moved. That just sounds like classic bull crap from Drew's husband. And he was acting like it was no big deal. Because I believe that's what he wanted to do in the first place. He has control issues. But y'all put it in the comments and let me know. Do you believe him? Do you believe him? And I mean, I know that does go on, and this is, you know, during, you know, pandemic stuff and all of that. And I understand it. I get it. I just bought a house. I know how, you know, I had stuff with my closing date was moving all over the place. So I get it, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I'm sorry. I don't. I don't believe it at all. But y'all tell me in the comments what y'all think actually happened there. Was that one of his little control moves, or do you think it really happened the way he said it? So, anyway, Candy ended up going to Kenya, and she basically told her, she called her out on all her stuff. Kenya gets to crying and told her, oh, it's this whole thing with Mark, and I don't have it like that. I don't have a tribe behind me to help me, blah, 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 blah. Heard it all before. Candy said, okay, no problem. And she says that basically Mark is using Brooklyn as control over her. He's doing some of that, but a lot of this is just Kenya Moore bullshit. Candy knows it. Said, I'm just going to let her deal for right now. I'm just going to give it to her. It's fine. Kenya comes downstairs. She apologizes to the girls about, you know, the put off and all that. The apology. See, I just seen her crying and all this stuff with Candy a second ago. The apology still, to me, didn't feel genuine. She's kikiing and cackling and laughing and telling them how good the sandwich, the crab cake sandwich that she had was, where they didn't even have lunch, and all of that. And speaking of food, Cynthia, you trifling. You trifling. And I know y'all knew I was going to pick up on this. I'm getting ready to do my soapbox, honey, because Cynthia, get out of here, girl. What are you over there packing up pieces of the pig and putting it in a Ziploc bag, talking about you going to take it home to Mark. And they were being nice by saying, oh, girl, you acting like an auntie. No, you're acting like an old trifling ghetto ass bitch, is what you acting like. I cannot stand plate packing. Do I need to do another video? See, I have a video. Y'all can go look it up. You know what? I got one better for you. I'm going to put the damn link in the box down there so you can see it if you've never seen it, about plate packing etiquette. I cannot stand a trifling plate packing individual. Oh, that just... Ziploc bags. Ziploc bags. And she was so into it, she was talking to him about it on the phone the next day. He talking about, was there chitlins in it? Let's get the chitlins. Both of y'all trifling. That thing bothered me so bad. It really... Cynthia! That just bothered me. I'm done. Down off my soapbox. But boom, bam, and I'm back. I can't. I'm going to put the link down in the box. Trifling shit. Anyway, moving on. The apology was like, whatever. Porsha had the nerve to call. She called Kenya. She said, girl, she's like one of those Disney goddamn villains. She said, girl, she's like Maleficent. I fell out. She did not just call herself for Maleficent, Eddie. But that is how she acts. All that kiki and that hackling and hair, and ain't nothing real, and you can't really believe nothing she say. That is how Kenya act. It was. Anyway, so Drew was really looking at all of them like they were crazy. She just couldn't get with it. She was like, okay. She ended up having a conversation with Porsha this day. And Porsha basically was telling her about Kenya. She's like the whole, and the fakeness of all. And Porsha basically gave her some good advice. Like, girl, you know what? For years, I've been trying to figure it all out, but this is just kind of the dynamic that it is. It is what it is. But when she said, I just came to you because you're like the Black Lives Matter girl and all that. She's like, yeah, she's, Black lives do matter, But when it comes to Kenya, see, we are never really going to be solid. It is very fake between us. And she made a comment, like, basically, like, girl, her black lives don't really matter to me, girl. I don't really give a fuck. I was like, damn, Porsha. But that's honest. That's honest with them, too. I said, okay. So I think Drew kind of got it a little bit, but, Drew had her own stuff. She's already mad with that husband and the situation and just the little stuff. It just, Kenya, her little ways were getting on everybody's nerves. So that was that. So they all had sat down, and there was the charges for Breonna Taylor, the announcement, and you seen them in real time as they were actually announcing it. And I will say this. Since we've been doing this, I've been kind of trying not to be too rude and kind of trying to watch and see, is this whole thing really a storyline for Porsha, or is Porsha really sincere in these efforts and what this is, and is this just storyline? This, for the first time, I think I actually seen Porsha, the woman Porsha, and her sincerity and the hurt that she felt. It felt very genuine to me, and I felt really bad I felt bad for all of us with how that goes down. I don't talk about these things very much on my channel because I just don't like to get into it. I always say I have a feel-good channel. I'm here to pretty much make you laugh and kind of take your mind off of those things. That's not my lane. I know what my lane is here on YouTube, and I won't even let people force me into a political lane. I won't do it. But I feel bad for all of us as pertains to that. But I really felt bad for Portia, and I felt the genuineness of what's going on and what her involvement is. So that was good. Yeah, yeah, it was very interesting to watch that. Um, let's go to the dinner. I went to dinner. Candy actually had pulled everybody together and told everybody, okay, look, I got all these costumes for y'all. This is what we get ready to do later on tonight. You got your costume, take them, had them. Don't nobody say nothing to Cynthia. That was back when, they got that time to do that because Cynthia was being trifling. She was out on the beach talking to Mike about the packed up food. Hungry asses. Anyway, so they go to dinner this evening, honey. So the group end up calling Kenya out on the bull crap. Okay? And it was starting off with Drew. Drew kind of led the charge. Then I just watched Kenya, and Kenya did the Kenya Moore. She showed under no uncertain terms were they wrong. She is a self-centered ass. And she basically start trying to pick them off in Kenya fashion by picking the low-hanging fruit and deferring what was being said. She first attacked Drew. Then she went from that and she attacked Tanya. All the low-hanging fruit. She attacked Tanya because Tanya was like, they were all over it. Like, they're used to it, and they're like, girl, she's ridiculous, and we're just not going to let her ruin our time. Tanya was ordering the hors d'oeuvres, and not hors d'oeuvres, but the appetizers. And Kenya Breakout started yelling at her, deflecting from the stuff that Drew was saying because Drew was getting in her ass. And she was correct. And she was deflected, so she attacked Tanya. She went from Tanya, and they got to getting in her ass again. She went and she attacked Marlo, and Marlo was like, they're like, didn't y'all say y'all wasn't going to do this no more? And Marlo was like, you really are crazy. You really have some issues. You really are self-centered. You really think everything is about you. Girl, you're really crazy, honey. So she went from that, and then she deflected and went over and jumped on Portia. Baby, listen, let me tell you something. Portia was already up to here with life as a whole and what's been going on and the struggle with the Breonna Taylor thing, plus the whole thing of leaving her baby and you doing all this and all the little stuff you do. Portia was not here for it at all. She was on her phone. And she was like, well, I ain't even entertaining you. She's like, I'll wait till everybody's paying attention to me. Portia was like, well, you'll be waiting. She was very short. She just wasn't here for it at all. She was completely over the BS. She went from that, then she went to Cynthia. All the low-hanging, what she saw as the low-hanging fruit, but who she wasn't fucking with was Candy. She wasn't going there. Candy was over there just irritated and getting just as tight. I said, So she gets to Cynthia. Cynthia says, it just, all we're saying, Kenya, is, and she started that stuff about, y'all don't know my struggles and blah, 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 blah. Girl, nobody cares because everybody at the table got a struggle of some sort or other. Nobody cares. She ends up telling Cynthia, I said, damn, Kenya. Cynthia was like, they just wanted to have the option of knowing what's really going on. Then they'd have the option to be able to help you. I don't have to give them an option. There's never been a more self-centered statement when you're on a trip that you've planned. You've planned. Everybody's waiting on you to lead them. And every time anybody takes the lead on anything, you get an attitude. You didn't even want to play the game because Portia came up with the game, though you didn't have anything planned for them. You don't want to give up and relinquish the control, yet you literally have nothing. This whole trip, Kenya ain't had nothing planned for them. Nothing. They just been bored for 2 days. We're going into the 3rd day of just not doing nothing. They could have all stayed home. And then you turn around and say, I ain't got to give them no option. She basically told everybody just what she thought. I don't give a shit about none of y'all. This is what I'm doing. And that's what it's been from the beginning. This has been a trip for her and Latoya to play with each other and for y'all to watch and y'all can work the light switch while they play with each other. That's what it's been from the door. And honey, the girls was like, you know what? So they broke her. They broke her, honey, told her, oh, girl, we sick of your shit. So she apologized. They got it all together. And now they're on their way back to the house. And I'm like, okay, so, because Candy ended up, when Candy said enough is enough, she straightened it up. So they're on their way back to the house. Cynthia don't know what's going on. Candy told them, listen, y'all got 15 minutes. We going to play some game. We're going to play the game that we was going to play last night. Said y'all got 15 minutes when you get in here to go on upstairs and put your pajamas on and then come on back down. That's it. Period. 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 And that's the last we saw. We saw all the girls scurry into their rooms and all that. But baby, and out there in the yard, baby, listen, I told y'all this was getting ready to get good, didn't I told y'all this was getting ready to get good. Now I don't know which ones of y'all sitting around waiting on an argument and all that. We got some of that gonna come too. But baby, we all been waiting on, honey. Mr. Bolo and his fine behind is out there in the yard in a doll box, honey, like a glass Ken doll, basically, box, honey. Let's get ready to get good, honey. Keep watching. See y'all next week, honey. Old Bolo, honey.